Hi everyone, welcome to the Megaport Tech drop-in for Friday, the 15th of November. My name is Mark Austin, and I'm a pre-sale solution architect at Megaport. So I help customers with their architectures and designs using Megaport products, but also network virtualization and cloud connectivity. So today I will be talking around or about the Megaport Virtual Edge, how you can deploy virtual PoPs using the Megaport Virtual Edge, and I will do a demo of how that is deployed. So just starting today, um, or going through the agenda first, I'll do a little bit of Megaport overview. I'll talk through what the Megaport Virtual Edge is, what a virtual PoP is, and I will do a demo. So just to give a little bit of an overview of Megaport, Megaport is a global software-defined network fabric available in 25 countries. It provides data center to data center connectivity. So we're present in over 860 data centers globally. It also provides data center to cloud or private cloud connectivity. And also it provides branch to cloud or branch to data center connectivity using the Megaport Virtual Edge with a number of different network vendors. We also provide cloud to cloud private connectivity using something called the Megaport Cloud Router. So looking at how you use Megaport, you will either use one of the three products on the left in the access box. So you'll either connect to Megaport with a physical port in a data center at 110 or 100 gigabits per second, or you'll connect multiple clouds together. So you'll enable multi-cloud routing with the Megaport Cloud Router, and that's available in 4 different speed tiers: 1, 2.5, and 5 and 10 gigabits per second speed tiers. And then the last access product, is the Megaport Virtual Edge. And that's a network function virtualization platform that we support a number of different network and security vendors. So you can deploy their virtual device on our platform and use that to connect clouds together. You can use it to connect to internet-enabled SD-WAN branch locations and provide branch to cloud connectivity. You can also provide data center to branch to data center connectivity. So linking all of those products together, you use a virtual cross connect, and that is a point-to-point connectivity between any 2 points on a network. And you can connect ports, MCRs, MVEs together to build a private network topology, or you can use a virtual cross connect to connect any one of those access products to a cloud provider or another service provider on our network. So with that product set, these are the three main solutions that you can build. It's not limited to this, but these are definitely the most common that we see. So you have on the left hybrid cloud connectivity, and that is just connecting to to Megaport in one of those 860 plus data centers globally to connect that environment to the cloud provider. And you'll be connecting to AWS Direct Connect, Google Partner Interconnect, Azure Express Route, Oracle Fast Connect, and on-ramps. On the right, you've got cross-cloud connectivity. So that is multi-cloud routing privately at high speed, not using the internet. Okay, so you're using Megaport's private backbone to connect multiple cloud providers together using the Megaport Cloud Router. And in the middle, you've got virtual PoP, and that is using the Megaport Cloud Route, the Megaport Virtual Edge, to deploy a virtual device from a number of different network and security vendors that we support to provide either cloud-to-cloud, multi-cloud routing, branch to cloud, or branch to DC connectivity through the Megaport global backbone. So virtual PoP and cross-cloud You do not need to be present in a data center. They are completely virtual private offerings on the Megaport Global Fabric. So what is Megaport Virtual Edge? Basically what it is, it's a platform to enable you to deploy a number of different network and security vendors on our platform to provide essentially either private connectivity or connectivity solutions or security solutions on our global private network. So you look at, at the bottom here on the diagram, you've got MVE. It's made up of compute. It's made up of private networking across our global fabric, and it's also made up of internet connectivity. So you can deploy either an SD-WAN virtual device, a virtual router, or a virtual firewall from the vendors you can see there in the boxes on our platform and build a private networking topology, either between data centers, between clouds, from remote internet SD-WAN enabled branches to cloud or to data center. And this just gives you a visual view of how that looks. So you've got in the middle of the diagram, you've got a Megaport enabled location that we support the MVE platform. So which is again made up of the compute, the networking, and the internet. And that location you can deploy either a firewall, a router, or an SD-WAN virtual device. And once you've deployed that, you can then connect it using Megaport Virtual Cross Connect to, you can see on the right, 280 plus cloud ramps globally that we're connected to. So that virtual device can be connected privately to those cloud providers. It can also be connected to, as you can see on the bottom, a data center port. So you can connect the virtual and physical world together using the Megaport Fabric and the Megaport Virtual Edge. And you can also connect it to our marketplace, which has over, as you can see there, 365 providers providing anything from security services, voice, storage, etc. Once you've built that out, you have a private connectivity between all of those endpoints. And then if you require, you can have internet-enabled locations such as an SD-WAN branch location, connect in with encrypted overlay tunnel to the Megaport Virtual Edge. So when looking at what makes up the Megaport Virtual Edge, basically what you get at the end of the day, what you pay for, it's a combination of virtual CPUs. So you can see there we start at 2 virtual CPUs and all the way up to 12. So that will be one component. And then you've got the other component. If you are going to connect it to the internet, you can go anywhere from, you have a connection. So we also use a virtual cross connect to connect to the internet. And that will be anywhere from 20 megabits per second up to 10 gigabits per second. So you set the speed of the internet at 1 megabits per second increments, anywhere between 20 meg and 10 gig. On top of that, each virtual cross connect from the Megaport Virtual Edge to either a cloud on-ramp or a data center port is additional to what you can see here. MVEs are available in 109 locations globally and 14 countries. So you can see the list of countries. It has a very large footprint. So if you're looking at a requirement to deploy a firewall or an SD-WAN hub device in one of these countries, there's no need to look at deploying a physical device in a data center. You can deploy that device virtually using the Megaport Virtual Edge, connect the internet, connect it to Megaport, all within 5 minutes, and you're up and running with private connectivity on our backbone. So what I'm going to jump into now is the live demo. So I'll just switch over to the Megaport portal. Okay, so when you log into the Megaport portal, you will see a map of all the Megaport enabled locations globally. Okay, and my internet's a little bit slow. It's not loading. But you can see here, we've got Australia. You can see all of the enabled locations. And if I zoom in, you can see a little bit more detail on where we are in terms of data center locations. So that's if you want to connect to Megaport physically in a data center. But what we want to do today is deploy a Megaport Virtual Edge. And I'm going to deploy a virtual FortiGate firewall in Perth. So the first step I need to take is to create the MVE. And I just need to sort out my internet. Okay, it's a little bit slow. Okay, so we'll create a Megaport Virtual Edge. We will search on Perth, and you can see in the list we have two locations in Perth that or where the Megaport Virtual Edge platform resides. So we at least offer two locations in each metro if you want to deploy a high availability or HA, two MVEs in that location. So I'll select one of those. And then the next step is to deploy one of the network or security virtual devices that you can see here in the list. And the one that I'm going to do today is the virtual FortiGate firewall. So the next step is to choose a version of software. With the FortiGate firewall, we provide 3 images to get the device up and running. Once that's up and running, you can upgrade or downgrade to the version that you require. But I'll just deploy the latest that we have on the platform. I'll call this Perth Megaport Virtual Edge. The next step is to select the size. So you can see there we have options for 2, 4, 8, or 12 CPUs, virtual CPUs. In this case, I'll just select 2. And you can see that has 8 gig of RAM and 8 gig of storage. And that's just based on 40net's specs for the virtual FortiGate. So the next step here is to choose a license file. That is optional. You can license it after you get it up and running, but in this example, I'll just load up a license file. And you need to enter a public SSH key. So I'll just grab one that I've already got ready. Okay, so that's public SSH key. So you can SSH into the FortiGate once it comes online. The next option is to add a VNIC interface. So by default, you have VNIC 0, and that relates or refers to port 1 on the FortiGate. You can add up to 5 VNICs, and that will be port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, I'll just use the single port, just port 1. You can use VLAN tagging on that port, so there's no need to break it up unless you had a specific requirement to do that. The next step is just to choose either the pricing model. So you can use no subscription or you can choose a termed option. And I'll just leave that at 12 months. So that's all that's needed to deploy the MVE. The next step is to connect an internet connection to it. So I'll just go through this workflow. If I select Australia, so we need to choose a Megaport internet border router within Australia, and given that the MVE is in Perth, I'll select Megaport internet in Perth. Okay, and I'm just going to select the internet border router that's in the same location as the MVE in this case. So the next step is to choose a speed of the internet connection. So I'm just going to choose 1,000 meg, which is a gig, and I'll leave that at 12 months in terms of the pricing model. And now that's ready to go. You can see there it's in the design phase, not yet ordered. So I could hit save and come back and deploy it later, or I could hit order, and I will do that now. I'll just go ahead and hit order and deploy the Megaport Virtual Edge. Okay, so now that's deploying the virtual FortiGates in Perth together with its internet connection also in Perth. So what I'm also going to show you is how to connect the virtual device to a physical data center port. So I'm just going to create a port also in Perth, but it could be anywhere globally. There is no limitations on what you can connect across the fabric. So you can see here the data centers in Perth. I'm just going to choose Equinix PE2. I will choose a 10 gig port. I'll just give it a name. And again, I'll just choose the pricing model and I'll leave that at 12 months. So you can see there I've added the port. So I'll order that. And you can see that's now deploying in Perth. So that is a physical 10 gig fabric, Megaport fabric interface that you would connect back to your rack using a cross connect in that data center. So that will connect your physical infrastructure to the virtual FortiGate, which is running in Perth. And if you wanted to build out redundancy or high availability, you would build out what we've done again. So you would deploy another MVE in a different location, and you would deploy another port. Maybe it's in the same data center in a different diversity zone, or maybe it's in a completely different data center. So that's now deploying. The next step is to connect the port to the Megaport Virtual Edge. So we do that using a virtual cross connect. So select the connection option here. We have a number of different connection options from a port. So you can connect the port to a cloud. A private VXC connects it to another port, a Megaport Virtual Edge or a Megaport Cloud Router. You can connect the port to the internet, to the Megaport Internet Exchange, to a service provider on our marketplace, or you can connect it across accounts, so to a different Megaport account using a service key. In this case, we use the private virtual cross connect to connect to the Megaport Virtual Edge. So this is a private connection across the Megaport fabric. I'll just call this Perth port to Perth MVE, and we'll make this 1 gig. I will assign a VLAN tag to the interface and a VLAN tag to the Megaport Virtual Edge end of the connection. And you can see here the subscription model. I'm going to leave that at 12 months. And I'll deploy that. So again, just stepping through the deployment process. So we've built out the Megaport Virtual Edge connected to the internet, the port in Equinix PE2 connected to the Megaport Virtual Edge. Okay, so at this time we should be able to, the FortiGate should be up and running. So we should be able to SSH into that. So let's take a look. So to do that, we just need to get the public IP that was allocated to the internet. And we'll look at that here. So you can see here, the device gets allocated a public IPv4 and a public IPv6 address. The FortiGate is set up to bootstrap up using DHCP on the interface, so it will obtain this IP using DHCP. And we'll just jump over to the terminal here and see whether we can connect to it. Okay, so cool. So you can see here we're in the FortiGate. So the next steps there are to, let's change the password here. We'll just and save that, and we'll jump back in and enable HTTP access on port 1. Okay, so now we should be able to get to the GUI interface of the FortiGate. So I'll just switch back to browser here and let's go. Okay, let's try this again. I think I will just need to redo the access here. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, it is working. Okay, so now I'm logging into the GUI of the Megaport Virtual Edge that has been deployed in Perth. And when we log in, it should be ready to go. So we'll just jump through this. Okay. Okay, so you can see here, I'm logged into the virtual FortiGate. It has already been licensed as I loaded the license file when we deployed it. And you can see here it's using port 1 as the interface for the internet. Okay, so port 1 set up as DHCP and obtain the IP. So from this point on, you can add the virtual FortiGate to your FortiManager or however you manage your FortiGates, and that'll just be just like a normal FortiGate within your network. You can then add additional interfaces, so you either build an interface using VLAN interface to a cloud provider or to the physical port that we deployed in Equinix P2, which would then connect to your infrastructure in that data center. So that is all I'm going to cover today. So what we've covered is what the overview of Megaport Virtual Edge, how to deploy that in a location. We deployed that in Perth, connecting the internet to it, and also connecting that to a physical port in a data center. So thanks for your time today. I'm going to hand over to Dave to finish up. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark, and thank you to all our viewers on LinkedIn Live and via Zoom. We'll be here again next week for a special Cisco Live edition. We also have a global WAN as a service webinar next Wednesday, so be sure to click the links on the Megaport website and register for that. Thanks again, Mark. Thanks to our viewers. We'll see you all next time.